Hi everybody. Hi everybody. It's a rainy day, but we are here. We're still here. Thank God. So we're at December 6th. We're continuing the reading of Letting Go. Letting go of shame. Let me just readjust myself in my... I'm on a high chair here. Letting go of shame. Many of us were victimized, sometimes more than once. We may have been physically abused, sexually abused, or exploited by the addictions of another. Understand that if another person has abused us, it is not a cause for us to feel shame. The guilt for the act of abuse belongs to the perpetrator, not the victim. Very important. With the mentality of blaming the victim very often, why couldn't she have done something different? Of course, she had it coming, and it's very important to realize that whatever actions another person does is their decision to act so, and it's not the victim of the crime, of the violence, of the abuse. Very important to realize you are not to blame. Even if in recovery we fall prey to being victimized, that is not cause for shame. The goal of recovery is learning self-care. Learning to free ourselves from victimization and not to blame ourselves for past experiences. The goal is to arm ourselves so we do not continue to be victimized due to the shame and unresolved feelings from the original victimization. We each have our own work, our issues, our recovery tasks. One of those tasks is to stop pointing our finger at the perpetrator because it distracts us. So on the other hand, stop focusing on the perpetrator. And regarding that, those that are focused on crime watch, those that are focusing on the criminal, you are contributing to him becoming a figure of focus of the media, and it attracts people that are looking to this person as some sort of, I don't want to say hero, but being infamous is almost like being famous, you know. It's stop focusing on the perpetrator because it distracts us. Although we hold each person responsible and accountable for his or her behavior, we learn compassion for the perpetrator. We understand that many forces have come into play into that person's life. At the same time, we do not hold on to shame. Well, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Should we feel compassion for murderers, abusers? Should we? I don't know about that. I would say the compassion goes as far as, well, it's really unfortunate that this person made the unfortunate decision to harm another person. So I feel compassion for the forces of the universe that brought this about. To say that I feel compassion for the person is difficult, quite difficult. But you know, when you look at a person, when you look at this Chris Watts sitting in his cell there, he looks so helpless. The prisoners, they all look so helpless, and we forget that they harmed someone in a very, very extreme way. Taking the life of someone, abusing a person and leaving traumas for life. It's very easy to feel sorry for a person sitting all alone, looking helpless while the police surrounds them. Because we are unable to picture in our minds, most of us are unable to picture the crime, the same crime, where a person is abusing another person or harming them. So we are focused on the now. We're seeing poor Chris Watts sitting in a cell, and we think, oh, this poor man, what happened that caused him to act in this way? But in truth is, I disagree with this. I cannot have compassion for perpetrators of crime. I cannot. That's something I cannot let go of. On the other hand, I do have faith in the person being able to somehow learn other behaviors. And perhaps in an extreme situation, this person can learn other behaviors. But of course, when the crime is so extreme, it's taking the lives of a whole family, we're not going to give them another chance. We're not going to say, okay, let's re-release you and see what happens. But I do believe that there is always a possibility to relearn your behaviors and new ways of looking at life. Perhaps it is sitting in a cell that makes a person all of a sudden realize what's important and what's not. Especially people that suffer from the disease that's plaguing our society, especially these days, called greed. Once you're in a little cell and you see what is life all about, you see the, how do you say, the bare necessities, what's important. Because I think sometimes we have to see the perpetrators in the context of society that sends such unhealthy messages to people of greed and, if only you buy this, constantly bombarding with commercials, especially these days. We have the Festival of Lights, we have Christmas, we have other festivals of lights from other traditions, and yet, for some reason, we're being used. Yes, we are all being used by people trying to push their products onto us. Consumerism that leads to developing an attitude of greed and losing focus. I'm not saying Chris Watts murdered because of capitalism, but that huge house, I just saw that. I mean, what were they thinking actually? How many families they could have housed in this place? I remember being in Thailand. This is a digression, but in Thailand, I was in a little bungalow while doing my yoga teacher's training. One of my yoga teacher's training was in Thailand, in a small island, and I was staying in a bungalows. Now, some of the people coming from Europe chose to stay in a hotel because it was relatively inexpensive to Europe, and they had all the luxury, and I stayed in a bungalow. And so I just had a bed, and above, I went for the $8 a night. So I had just, I didn't even have air conditioning. I had just this thing going around, and I had lizards. I would lie in my bed and look at lizards, like roaming, and I love lizards, and I didn't mind. And spiders and lizards, that's what I had. And didn't have a TV, I didn't want the TV. It was an extra $4, I don't know. Just the bare necessities. Doing yoga practice from 7 in the morning till 6 at night, and then go to my room and just relax looking at the lizards, and then I would go out. And every time I went out, I saw that family, the Thai family. And one day, I don't know why, I went into their home and I saw they're sleeping on a mattress on the floor, not even a bed, on the floor, one next to each other. And I saw how in the evening, they were just sitting together. The grandparents, it was hard to communicate with them. The English is not very, I was surprised in Thailand. English is not such a language that many people know. So I just try to communicate somehow. And they were telling me this is the grandparents, this is the children, and they're all sitting together, just looking at the baby. That's what they do. Just look at the baby, look at the children, just sitting together. And I thought eating together outside, and I thought it was amazing. And just I'm holding on to that memory. When I think what a family really is, it's that Thai family sitting together, and just the way they just share they had like 2 rooms and mattresses on the floor, and I thought, yeah, in that environment, you definitely learn to love each other and care for each other and have your priorities in the right place. Anyway, we learned to understand the role we played in our victimization, how we fell into the role and did not rescue ourselves. But that is information to arm us so that it need not happen again. Let go of victim shame. We have issues and tasks, but our issue is not to feel guilty and wrong because we have been victimized. So I think what I really loved in Thailand is there are many people there suffering, especially women. Women there have no social help. So if the man leaves, they're just really in very bad situation. And unfortunately, many European men fly out there and abuse these women. But they're very proud people. They always have a smile on their face. But one time I went into this woman and she said, always come back to me. I had, my daughter said, oh, have your nails done. I never do it, but she drew all these pictures of my nails. And I said, okay, I'll do my nails. And she said, she just started to talk and just tell me all these things. And she felt so good. And she said, come back anytime, even for free. I'll do your nails. And she showed me how this man is waiting outside. He's 60 years old. She's a beautiful 30-year-old woman with children. And he's like controlling her. And I told her, you know, you don't have to be with him. You have a profession, you know, she could do nails, she could do cosmetics. But it's very hard to get released from these people. And sometimes I think there's too much compassion. Sometimes you have to have, there's a term in Buddhism, I forget what it's called compassion for yourself. And I think that's very important to do, first of all, to feel compassion for yourself. And if someone is harming you, if you feel compassion for yourself, then you will automatically feel resentful for anyone. If you treat yourself the way you would treat your children or someone you love, you would not let anyone harm them. So try to think like that. So I wouldn't feel compassion for those abusing or trying to abuse and take advantage of others. Today I will set myself free from any victim shame I may be harboring or hanging on to. So the point is not to feel shame. When I was at the demonstration, the women were chanting shame, shame, shame on the government, towards the government or anyone who is preventing budgets for helping victims of domestic violence rehabilitate themselves. But what's very, very important is not to feel shame. And now we have the Me Too movement. Hopefully, the whole point is having a conversation and being able to speak about how we get to be victims and the whole process and where it comes from. Because the perpetrators, they're not just overnight like that. They come from a certain background. And victims also come from a certain background, and it's a meeting of those two unfortunate circumstances where they meet each other. And so what I wanted to say is I disagree with her about forgiving perpetrators. I never did get that mentality. And yet I do feel that when you harbor anger towards another person, they say it's like a vessel. When you hold fire, you're going to get burned. Like, let's say you have fire here, that's hate, you're going to get burned. So we need to let go of hate. At the same time, we need to say, I learned a lesson that I will be good to myself. I will not allow anyone else to make me a victim again. And like Scarlett O'Hara said, tomorrow is another day. So I'm going to show you a little bit scenes of the rain. I do like the rain when I'm behind glass. We don't have the winter wonderland here, but we also don't have Christmas here, even though Christmas started here. And the Holy Lands, yeah. It's very funny, but we don't have Christmas here, no. Maybe in the shopping centers, which I avoid like the plague. They have maybe one little, like a shop that sells toys or something, but that's it. And we don't have a lot of trees also, so we can't cut them down. They're already cut down by the armies that invaded Israel. Suffered from a lack of trees because the armies that came here centuries always cut down trees. And yeah, this is it's not like a European climate. We don't have too many trees. Anyway, so this is the holiday season here. Hanukkah is a very modest holiday. Light a candle, but I think it's nonetheless important. So now we have the rain, which we need so much in this area. And we just had a miracle. Our army was able to expose tunnels. Peace, light, and love for everyone.